to number 25 of this exam. And we begin with an easy question. Here we go, number 25. Express in simplest form. 3x squared plus 4x minus 8 minus negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 2. In other words, if they say simplest form, they're really saying combine like terms. They just can't say that because it kind of gives the answer away if they tell you combine like terms. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for similar or, yeah, the same variables in this case. So we got the 3x squared and the negative 2x squared, the 4x and the 4x, and we got the negative 8 and the positive 2. But, we need to do something first. We need to distribute that negative 1. We need to change all the signs in this parenthesis. So, we get 3x squared plus 4x minus 8. Now, a negative times a negative 2x squared gives you a positive 2x squared. Negative times positive 4x is a negative 4x. And negative times a positive 2 gives you a minus 2. Okay? But again, we're still combining like terms. Nothing has changed here except the signs. Okay? So we're just still combining like terms. No big deal. Okay? And let's go ahead and do it right now. So, 3x squared plus 2x squared is a 5x squared. A 4x and a negative 4x, well, those actually just cancel out completely, non-existent anymore. Negative 8 plus a negative 2 gives you a minus 10. Ladies and gentlemen, 5x squared minus 10 is your answer. Or if you wrote it as 5 times x squared minus 2 is acceptable. Or if you wrote it as 5 times x plus radical 2, x minus radical 2. Any of these answers are, in fact, completely acceptable. However you did it, as long as you got to one of these three answers, you did it correctly. Okay, moving on to number 26. Graph the function f of x is equal to negative x squared minus 6x on the set of axes below. Okay, here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put f of x over here, and I am going to write an xy table. I'm going to type this function into my, I don't know what that just did. I'm going to type this into my graphing calculator. Okay? First I need to draw a straighter line. Actually, I'll just make it a squiggle. Okay. So here we go. Go to my calculator page. Okay, go to graph negative x squared minus 6x. Got that. All right, Control T. Find where your vertex is, because that's where you start all the time. The vertex is negative 3, 9. So what I always do personally is I always put the vertex in the middle, like that. And I always go 3 above, 3 below. So 3 above the negative 3 on the chart is negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. And below is negative 2, negative 1, 0. And these coordinates are 0, 5, and 8, 9, 8, 5, 0. Okay, so that's it right there. So let's go ahead and graph that function. So negative 6, 0, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 6, 0, negative 5, 5, negative 4, 8, negative 3, 9, and then just the symmetric opposite on the right-hand side. Okay, this is your quadratic right there. All right, and of course you label f of x is equal to negative x squared minus 6x. Then it says, so that would actually give you 1 point. Then it says state the coordinates of the vertex of the graph. Okay, the vertex of the graph is the highest point or the lowest point on the parabola. In this case, it's the highest point because it's a maximum value. And the vertex is the point negative 3, 9. That is the vertex right over here. Negative 3, 9. That is a vertex right there.
Number 27. State whether 7 minus the square root of 2 is rational or irrational. Explain your answer. So rational and irrational are huge keywords here, and then we have to explain. So rational, I need to know, means that it can be written as a fraction. And irrational means that it cannot be written as a fraction. If you can remember those definitions, you can answer any irrational or rational question. So, they want to know whether 7 minus radical 2 is going to be rational or irrational. So what I need to do is I need to type that in the calculator. 7 minus square root of 2. 7 minus. Okay, I get this big long answer. I'm going to write it out. 5.58578643, and it keeps going on and on. So I need to decide, well, can that be written as a fraction? Yes or no? Well, I check in the calculator by hitting math, frac, and then enter. It stayed exactly the same, so that means it cannot be written as a fraction, so I know that it's going to be irrational. So now I need to actually answer the question in full explanation. So I want to say 7 minus radical 2 is irrational because it cannot be written as a fraction. Okay, I could also say that it does not end, so it would keep going, that decimal. Does not end or terminate, and it does not repeat. And that is it. That's all you need to do. State whether it's irrational or rational. So we said it's irrational, and the reason is because it cannot be written as a fraction.
The value, v of t, of a car depreciates according to the function v of t equals p times 0.85 to the t, where p is the purchase price of the car and t is the time in years since the car was purchased. State the percent that the value of the car decreases by each year and justify your answer. So, by now, I hope that you know the formula. A of t equals p times 1 plus or minus the rate raised to the t power. Okay? This is your increasing function or decreasing function in terms of appreciation and depreciation of things. So, we don't know what the principle is. We don't care what the principle is. We care about what that little bugger right there is. We care about the r. Okay? So look at what's in here up top. 0.85. Okay? Look at what's in here. 1 plus or minus r. So what are you thinking right now? What you should be thinking is this. You're taking the 0.85 and you're setting it equal to 1 minus r. Why minus and not plus? Because you're depreciating. You're decreasing the car's value. So it's not appreciating. It's not going up with a plus. It's going down with a minus. So your job is to find the percent that the value of the car decreases each year. So in order to do that, you just take this and you're just going to subtract the 1 on both sides. You're going to isolate that r. So we get negative 0.15 is equal to negative r. Okay, divide by negative 1 on both sides, and you get r is equal to 0.15, positive 0.15. But we have a problem here. Okay, we have a problem. It's asking you for the percent. State the percent that the value of the car decreases by. So you should know that this is a decimal. To convert this to a percent, you move the decimal place 2 places backwards, to the right, really, okay? And that will give you an answer of 15%. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the answer to this question, 15%. Does it say justify your answer? Okay, so this is justification. It's the math involved to get to the 15%. If it said explain, you would need to use words in order to get that question right. Number 29, it says a survey of 100 students was taken. It found that 60 students watched sports and 34 of these students did not like pop music. Of the students who did not watch sports, 70% like pop music. Complete the two-way frequency table. Oh, man. Not too bad, though. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and figure this out. A survey of 100 students was taken. That 100 students goes to the total and the total columns. So the 100 goes in this box. So let's go ahead and put that in right now. That's 100. Okay? And it said that 60 students watched sports. Okay. So go to the watched sports column. 60 students watched sports. So that's the total number down here, 60. Okay? Then it said 34 of these students did not like pop music. So of the kids or students who watched sports, 34 of them did not like pop music. Okay? Now let's go ahead and find out, well, what are the students that liked pop music in this column? Well, in order to get this, you just take 60 minus the 34. You get an answer of 26 students. Making sense so far? Okay, so now from here, we got all that done. Then it says, of the students who do not watch sports, so don't watch sports, 70% of them liked pop music. Okay, well, look at what we have here. We have 60 students who watches sports. There's 100 students total. That means that there are 40 students left who don't watch sports. Okay? Honestly, this is really simple. It's just, do you know where to place the numbers in this chart? Honestly, not too bad. So, it said that 70% of the students liked pop music. So what you're really doing is you're taking the 40 students and you're multiplying it by 70%, which is just 0.7, and you get 28 students. So that means that 28 students of the 40 liked pop music. So this was found by taking 0.7 times 40 students, and you get 28 students. Then you just find the students who don't watch sports and don't like pop music. It's 40 minus 28, you get 12 students. To get these totals, you just add it along the way. So you take 26 plus 28, you get 54. 34 plus 12, you get 46. Make sure that adds up to give you 100, and it does. That is how you complete this two-way frequency table. Okay? Pretty simple question. You could have had a part 3 with this. It could have been a lot worse. So that's it. That's how you do that question. Number 30. Graph the inequality y plus 4 is less than negative 2 times x minus 4 on the set of axes below. So what we're going to do first is we're going to isolate that y by itself. Put it by itself. So your job is to subtract the 4 on both sides. Okay? We get, I'm going to put it over here. I'm actually going to shrink this graph down because it is ridiculously large. Give me 1 second here. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, so we get y is less than negative 2 times x minus 4 minus 4 when you move that 4 over. Now just distribute that negative 2. We get y is less than negative 2x. Negative 2 times the negative 4 gives you a positive 8, then the minus 4. Combine these two. 8 minus 4 is positive 4, so y is less than negative 2x plus 4. You're graphing this inequality here. Okay, so let's talk about this. It says graph it. Well, this is all the work you need, but I like to write everything down about this graph, okay? So the slope. Well, the slope is negative 2 over 1. That's the rise over the run. The y-intercept is 0, 4. You're just going up 4, okay? It is a dotted line because it has a less than sign. If it was less than or equal to, it would be a solid line, but it's just less than. Okay? And it is shading below. Because, again, it's less than. Less than, you're shading below. If it was greater than, you're shading above. Okay? And I'm also going to show you how to graph this on your calculator. It's actually pretty neat. I'll show you that after I graph it over here. So, y-intercept of 0, 4. Here we go. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Go down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1, Keep on going like this. And then do it in reverse. Okay. Now, from here, you're going to draw yourself a dotted line like this. Okay. You're going to label y plus 4 is less than negative 2 times x minus 4. Last but not least, you're going to shade, and you're shading below like that. Okay. If f of x equals x squared and g of x equals x, determine the values of x that satisfy the equation f of x equals g of x. Oh my god. Can it get any easier than this? This is not bad. You're just taking these equations and you're setting them equal to each other. Easy peasy. So we're taking x squared equals x. Okay. I take it back with the easy peasy. It's easy peasy for most people, but if you don't see that this is a quadratic where you need to factor, you could have gotten this one wrong. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to subtract the x on both sides. So we get x squared minus x equals 0. Now you need to pull out an x because that's the greatest common factor. Take out an x, you're left with x minus 1. Be careful with that. Equals 0. Now you do your t-bar, x equals 0, and we get x minus 1 equals 0. Add that 1 on both sides, and we get x is equal to positive 1. So just write it in the swirly brackets. So x is equal to the swirly brackets, 0, 1. And that is your answer. Or you could just circle those two answers and just be done. But I like it in the swirly brackets. All right, moving on. 32. Describe the effect that each transformation below has on the function f of x equals the absolute value of x. Ooh, man. Where a is greater than 0. What this is telling you is that that a is a positive number. And in addition, the reason why they're telling you it's a positive number is if the number's negative, it's negative. If the sign is negative and the number is right next to it, it's negative. What this is telling you is that the signs are not changing in your equations, okay? That's why they're telling you that. Because if it was negative, it would be a completely different story. So here we go. This, if it's in the absolute value bars, this is a horizontal shift. And it is always opposite the sign. Opposite the sign. Okay? This A is on the outside of the vertical bars. This is a vertical shift. And it is the same as the sign, or the same direction as the sign. Okay? So in order to explain it, all you got to do is you say it is a horizontal shift to the right by a units. Because it's opposite the sign. You would think it would be going to the left because it was negative. No, it's going to the right by a units. Then, down here, this is a vertical shift. Down by a units. And as you can see, even though it is negative, it is the same direction. So if it's negative on the outside, it's going down. Vertical shift, going down, same as the sign.